Well, great balls of fire, Bubba. What happened, Buford? That crazy son of a Sal blew right through that four-way stop on Main Street and plowed into my cowboy Cadillac.
Your what?
My pickup truck. And I'm pretty sure my leg is broken, Ted.
Oh, quit your bitching, Buford, and talk with those side busters at the Advocates Law Firm. When I got busted up last month, well, shoot, they made sure those snakes at the insurance company played fair.
Boy, howdy. Even that creepy so-and-so Kyle earned his keep.
So if you get injured, the advocates get results. AdvocatesLaw.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Hey, it's Miles. Thank you guys for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast.
Have you heard our newest podcast? It's called The Greatest Story Never Told.
Download it today on radio.com. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded every Tuesday at noon.
Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the Men's Room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off the Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the Men's Room.
And away we go. Welcome to Season 15, episode number 3,345. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, D. Ted Smith, and Mike Hawk. And you are the Men's Room. On tap today, Ryan Castle joins us from his basement studio dungeon, and once again we will sit and spin now. As today we celebrate the life of Eddie Van Halen, who passed away today at the age of 65, with the top 10 guitar solos from Eddie Van Halen of all times. That is on the way with Sit and Spin. We will play Profile This, plus headlines, the Men's Room Shot of the Day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Ted.
It's a clack.
Drinkity drunk. All right, here we go. Man puts up a billboard that said he's single and ready to mingle, and believe it or not, he scores. Meanwhile, a woman who stole an expensive diamond ring tries to sell it back to the same exact store. Student shocked to peel a banana and get a 2-for-1 deal. Meanwhile, security flaw and chastity sex toy could make you permanently squeal. And R.I.P. to Eddie Van Halen. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bicholas. Good day to you and yours. All right, the coronavirus has obviously had a major impact on people's day-to-day lives. The loss of lives, loss of jobs, at-home schooling, a surge in alcohol and drug sales, a spike in divorces, and, of course, roommates having sex with each other. According to a new study, 25% of singles who had sex during the lockdown phase had sex with their roommate, specifically their non-romantic roommate. Now, most people have roommates for economic relief, but during COVID, well, roommates also provide a much-needed orifice. I guess that's good. But it depends on the roommate. In Hawaii, a 58-year-old woman, she didn't know that her roommate found her attractive until she discovered that he'd installed a hidden camera in her bathroom where he'd recorded footage of her and her daughter undressing and showering and, not for nothing, pooping. Now, creepy as that may be, it's better than the Florida man who found out that his roommate believed that Satan was, quote, inside of him, which generally would be what we call a you problem. But the roommate stabbed him before stabbing himself to cut out the devil. And then there's the woman who threatened to kill her boyfriend's parents' dog because they changed the Wi-Fi password. Keep in mind, she lives with her boyfriend in a basement apartment of the parents' house. They changed the Wi-Fi password. She threatens to kill the dog. But look, roommates. Roommates are just the people that you live with, whether that be your own family, a friend, or a contractual cohabitator. Today, this is what we want to know. What is the craziest thing that happened with someone you've lived with?
Be part of the Big Show. Call 206-421-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live. Text 77999 and send those emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
Oh, drat. I was driving along minding my own business when that vulgar leech hit my Beamer with his pickup truck. I fear I've fractured my clavicle.
I say, old boy, don't simply put it in the hands of your insurance company to sort it out. Talk with the dedicated road solicitors at the Advocates Law Firm.
Pipe down, you old sod. The Advocates will see your case through to the bitter end and won't sleep a fortnight until they have victory in their grasp.
Jolly good, old man. Jolly good indeed. You get injured, the Advocates get results. AdvocatesLaw.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
We return to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Paw Patrol's and away we go. Welcome to season 15, episode number 3,345. What a large and a charge program we have for you today. Guaranteed future repeats as once again we welcome in Ryan Castle. Actually, he is in his home basement studio dungeon. Originally, as we were getting the program ready this morning, we had a pretty fun list. We had the 10 songs that were dirtier than WAP that made it to number one.
Right.
So believe it or not, I don't know how much airplay that song gets. I cannot imagine that it gets played that much. Or
you can't play it. This is what I'd say if you're a parent. Look, I'm not dying for my kids to listen to that crap either, but when you hear this list, you grew up with these songs.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine.
Sir Mix-a-Lot's on the list. We had It was going to be a fun sit and spin. We had it all ready to go, and Mike put all the songs in. We're getting ready to rock.
Mike's had nothing to do today.
Ryan Castle is going to come in, and then, lo and behold, we get the news that Eddie Van Halen passed away this morning at the age of 65 years old. As far as Eddie Van Halen is concerned, Steve and I, we grew up on Van Halen. Ted, you grew up on the Hagar years of Van Halen. Mm-hmm. And for us, Van Halen was just one of the greatest rock bands ever. It wasn't that,
They're like the other AC/DC in the sense that, like, when you put on an AC/DC song, and I don't care who you are, because all their songs are kind of the same, right? But you kind of bang your head. They're just a rockin' band. Van Halen was like a really fun version of that. Everything was goofy. It was silly. It's about party and all this stuff, man. But Eddie, for me personally, there's like him and Randy Rhoads as far as the original shredders. There's very good guitar players throughout history. There's no doubt about that. But in the 80s, when just pure shredding became the thing, like those two guys, to me, you couldn't top.
They did it. And when you go to school, we had wooden desks back in the day, and there'd be Van Halen logos carved into the desk.
Every single desk.
You go to a bathroom.
To prove that this desk was authentic and invented. You didn't even buy, and this honest to God, you would re-engrave the Van Halen. You don't bother to carve a new one, because the logo stayed the same for most of those years, but like it had been carved by every class before you, so you just you recarved it, but that was a guarantee. And that's the one. That and AC/DC. Again, those are the two logos.
Learned how to draw it, you know what I mean?
Oh, you had
put it on your book.
With the little wings.
You did all that stuff. And we would go to the store and buy records back in the day, the Van Halen number 1. And Van Halen number 2, some of the first albums that I ever bought.
Fair Warning, Diver Down.
With my birthday money.
They were awesome.
Children's First. It was in 1984.
Did you say women's and children's first?
I like Walmart.
We're not that old.
Shut up.
Women's and children's
1984
first.
came out, and that was my first time ever on the radio. I was 14 years old, and I just went out and I bought the 1984 album. And they were playing it on the radio station, one that I eventually worked at. And they were doing like one of those things like a smash it or trash it at night,
God, yeah, I remember those
basically, they came back and they said, look, Eddie Van Halen is not playing a lot of guitar on this album, at least on the first single.
It's keyboard, which was keyboard. Mortal sin at this time.
And they played Jump. And then they invited listeners to call up and say what they thought. And I remember being 14 years old and calling up the radio station. And I don't know if I was nervous. I don't really think I was. But I just called up and I said, it just sounds like Eddie's playing the guitar parts on keyboard. I kind of like it. It's just different. And you also have to remember, as a fan, Diver
Shut up, kid. You'll never work in radio.
You dumbass. What a horrible take.
Said no children.
Exactly. Yeah, but Diver Down had tunes with keyboard on it. This wasn't the first time that they'd experimented with that.
Yeah, but 1980, that's the first time they went, quote unquote, overboard. But it was, I almost cussed. It was a very good album.
Steve and I, by the way, are going to fight on the songs that we want to play today.
We're not going to fight. It's just about, we agree on the songs people like to hear, just maybe not the order.
Right.
See, that's why he threw that one out to you, Mike, and I said nothing.
But you got to remember. But you got to remember.
He's like, yeah, let's start with this one.
Did you put mine on the list?
What do you want?
I mean, I'm a hot for teacher guy.
You're a hot for teacher
We
guy.
just played it, man.
Castle played all the
I mean,
hits.
Castle just, we're not against it. It's just Castle played a little while ago.
Yeah. Maybe we'll play Dreams for you. That's always a good one.
You keep pushing for that one. I say no.
It was a great song.
I'm not saying
like
it wasn't
in retrospect,
great.
it wasn't like Van Halen rocking, but it's still a great
the
song.
only one. So where are we diverse, right? Most of our list is precisely the same. Now you're saying Dreams. I'm saying Me, Wise, Magic, which no one will know. A few people will remember.
See, that would be Castle saying you're getting silly.
No, he said stupid. And it's not quite stupid. It was a single. Came out in 96. The original lineup, they recorded again together for the first time in 12 years. And I thought the song was cool.
But as far as having posters in your room and really adopting a band that was yours, Van Halen, I think, was one of the first ones for me. Sure. I mean, Zeppelin had been around.
Right.
So it's not that they were my friend's older brother's band, who I learned to love. But that wasn't my band.
Well, it's like your parents. They're
Rolling
already there.
Stones and the Beatles, that was their band. You know what I mean? Van Halen was our band. So was Motley Crue was our band. There was a number of bands that came along. Hell, we liked Rat then.
Yeah.
So, but Van Halen,
I like how you had that.
Well, I mean, Rat was great then. You know what I mean? In my mind, they were anyway. You know,
they were good
compared to some of the albums that I bought that just sucked.
Sure.
I kind of thought that they were a pretty good band. Van Halen, though, you could not go wrong.
Right.
You could not go wrong with any Van Halen. Chicks liked Van Halen. There were girls at our school that wore Van Halen shirts. No one's walking around in a Judas Priest shirt.
The
guys are, but not in my world, man. They were.
No, Rush was the one. Like the dudes that wore the Rush shirt, I'm like, there is no game for you.
Yeah, but as far as just,
yeah, I mean, look, you can't think of a Pepsi product without thinking about Van Halen.
Oh God, right now
it's a clear Pepsi,
right? And you can't also think about another band.
Clear Pepsi's gone. The only reason I remember Clear Pepsi is because they had a great commercial for it with the song. Right?
Sure. And with the exception of AC/DC, granted, when Bon Scott passed away, AC/DC still is AC/DC.
Right.
Brian Johnson is AC/DC. They still play all the old songs, and that's one of the few bands out there that has been successful with two different lead singers.
Sure.
But Van Halen took it in two different incarnations. So Van Halen and Sammy
and nobody died.
Halen.
So they went back.
Right.
They were bickering back and forth for like 5 years.
But you know what? And at first, of course, there's in rock music, at least as we've grown up, there have been a lot of purists. So in other words, if you played Eruption like Castle did, you've got to play You Really Got Me. You have to play those two songs together. There's no separation. If you play Little Guitars or whatever, Cathedral, you got to play, I can't remember what the hell the next song is, but you know what I'm saying?
Spanish Flying, DOA, etc.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of the mentality. Right. And when Hagar took over, there were a lot of people out there that just like, no, this isn't the real thing.
I'm not to listen to this band.
This is Van Halen, blah, blah, blah. And then, that's not true. That work stands like its own individual band, even more so than a lot of bands out there that have been successful.
Absolutely.
Without question. I did have the opportunity to see Van Halen at one point in time before they stopped touring. This was not at the Tacoma Dome, which I believe was their last big show they did, but they did do a show at Key Arena, and that was great, with the exception of the fact that I went with my brother.
You went with your mother?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did he poop on anyone?
No, so still a great show. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I still had a great time. Thank God I got a chance to see them. Which
Mustard Stain. That would be the nickname.
Yeah, and then they put on a very good show. I mean, David Lee Roth is David Lee Roth. He's going to do whatever David Lee Roth does. That was kind of part of the charisma behind the band, was the showmanship of Dave. The showmanship.
The band was tight, and then he's this ridiculous person,
right? But very few guitarists out there actually look like they're having a good time when they're doing what they're doing. Eddie Van Halen had a smile from from cheek to cheek, man, from ear to ear. Every time he took the stage, it just looked like he was having the most fun of anybody in the entire arena. And that's, as far as rock and roll can be very serious. Like there's very serious bands. They get out there and they rock. And that's all good and dandy. You know what I mean? But you don't get a lot of smiles from Mick Mars. Right. Just in general.
No, he hurts. Mick Mars is in a perpetual state of pain.
Right. There's a difference. There's a difference in bringing the happiness to the stage.
That's the sound he's making now.
How much great music has come out of Seattle? I mean, I'm going to say way more than any other city deserves. But with the exception of like Nancy Wilson and Mike McCready, there's no guitarist in Seattle that smiles on stage. Hendrix might have given you a but other than that, you know what I mean? Like, think about it. I mean,
even Slash.
He doesn't smile.
No. I mean, but that was not that there's anything wrong with that. It was just the difference in what Van Halen brought. Van Halen brought you a party.
Right.
You know what I mean? You were going to a party.
They were like a party ball. They're like your keg. It was like you can go to a party and drink beer and you say, man, I got 8 cases of beer. The bottles are in the fridge. And you'll have a good time. somehow it resonates different. Like, same amount of beer, I have a keg, right? Van Halen's a keg. It just says party on.
Before we get to the question, you just want to play another song.
I do.
You want to play one of your tunes?
I do.
I mean, since we're talking about Van Halen. We'll get to the goddamn show. We got one playing for you. What are you on? What do you want to play? Mike, get ready. Right. You got the wheels of steel.
Let's go.
How about let's go?
Come on, Mike.
No,
why don't we go here? Why don't we go here?
Okay. All right, we'll do that.
Let's do Mean Street, man. Let's look that up. We can play tunes today, right?
Sure.
I mean, why not, man? One of our guitar heroes just.
Hey, besides, no one's here. It's just us. They would physically have to get in a car and drive down. They don't feel like
we'll get to the question. You got that thing queued up ready to go?
Ready.
All right, ready to go?
Yeah.
Eddie Van Halen passed away at the age of 65. You are listening to The Men's Room.
Well, great balls of fire, Bubba. What happened, Buford? That crazy son of a Sal blew right through that four-way stop on Main Street and plowed into my cowboy Cadillac.
Your what?
My pickup truck. And I'm pretty sure my leg is broken, Ted.
Oh, quit your bitching, Buford, and talk with those side busters at the Advocates Law Firm. When I got busted up last month, well, shoot, they made sure those snakes at the insurance company played fair.
Boy, howdy. Even that creepy so-and-so Kyle earned his keep.
So if you get injured, the advocates get results. AdvocatesLaw.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
The Men's Room is in progress. 99.9 KISW and KISW HD1 Seattle.
Yeah, 2020.
2020, what a year. By the way, just got a text from the lovely Robin Fox. And she said, hey, man, I'm loving the tribute. And I said, Robin, we didn't plan this. We're just kind of rolling with how we feel. And she's like, look, sounds good anyway, so we appreciate that. But this one hits, man.
Typically, we do plan a show. And
we did. We got the whole show planned.
Listen to the program, you think, they plan a show? We actually did. And then...
Got the whole thing.
Yeah.
Whole thing, everything written down right here.
You need to say
you can throw it down.
This is sad. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff that happens. Different things touch in different ways, depending on...
Like my uncle touched me one way, yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's not cool,
not
though.
The way, but you never brought it up until later in life, and that was through therapy. So this is... What's wrong, Ted?
Trying to keep it light, man.
Light. We're still trying to do the show. You know, we're sad that Eddie Van Halen passed away. And I am, no disrespect, Steve, happy I did get to see them one time. Before it all went down. I know you were supposed to go.
I know. I was supposed to go.
Ted was supposed to go. He got pneumonia.
I was.
Ted and I also went to Prince, and you missed that.
Yeah.
So maybe as I am the Grim Reaper, you are the person who misses all the shows.
Well, no, I was in trouble for something, and my wife's like, I'm buying a ticket for Prince. And I realized, like, based on, I don't remember what it was, but I remember situationally, I'm like, deal? Like, it was that bad.
The tickets were, I mean, the truth be told, the tickets that show were $250. It was the show box. It was a small show.
That's why I did not argue.
And Ted and I were looking at each other like, should we do this? Should we do this? I mean, and then we were like, yeah, we should do this. Thank God Van Halen was included.
If you have the opportunity to see an artist you want to see, just do it. Because I said, someone invited me to Tom Petty. And I said, well, dude, look, this guy tours like every 2 years, but I'm going to catch him the next time around. Well, I did not because he died.
Sure. I was just out that way a few weeks ago, and my buddy put on Tom Petty as we were driving by the gorge. And I saw him twice here, and I was like, just stop.
Shut up.
Every time Tom Petty comes on the studio, one of us brings it up.
I know.
And
every time.
And I think we can all realize that a little bit more now with what's been going on the past year as far as just missing live music in general.
Oh, absolutely.
If you get a chance and one of your favorite bands comes around, man, do yourself a favor.
I went to see Hall & Oates.
I went to see Hall & Oates. They were okay.
I mean, it was precisely okay, but I'm like, all right, man. Like, I grew up with this band. I heard them all the time. I know all their songs. And the show was fun. I'm glad I did it, I guess.
But, Van Halen.
I know. It was fine.
Yeah. It's been a crazy year. That's for sure. And with that, we do have some information here that just dropped today as far as living at home, staying at home with the pandemic and COVID. And as the story says, during desperate times, you got to make do with what you have or whom you have. A new survey released this morning by online dating company Match.com found that nearly 25% of singles who reported having sex during the lockdown did so with a non-romantic roommate.
I understand that, though.
25%. One of the many ways that Americans have adapted during the coronavirus pandemic.
I'm horny. Are you horny? I know. We're not in a relationship at all. I don't even find you attractive. Are you horny? If the answer is yes and you want some D, I am here. I'm losing my mind. It was the lockdown, man.
I've never really had female roommates where that could be a possibility.
No. none of these people necessarily, I don't think anyone thought it'd be a possibility under normal circumstances. And even during COVID, it would not be a possibility. During the lockdown phase of this, I think you're looking at each other going, listen, we can keep going to our bedrooms and masturbate, or let's just do something. Mm-hmm. Because we can. If you can't do anything about it, you're just kind of stuck, right?
Well, speaking of that, you did have a story about a roommate who you're taking on for work, I guess? Or you were...
No.
Is this with the Chi-Chi's VCR?
I'm dating... No. This was a few years after that. Although, oddly enough, the guy involved in the story, I worked with him at Chi-Chi's. Anyway, we are sharing an apartment in a place called Fells Point back in Baltimore. I'm dating this chick. All right, now it's a one-level apartment. We are on the first floor. It's the bottom of a house, basically. But we're going to go out and grab drinks or whatever we're doing. So we leave. And the front door, when you open the front door, you're looking directly into the living room. And you're facing the couch, all right? So we're leaving. And Oz is what we called him at the time. He's like, all right, guys, see you. As soon as I close the door behind me, I'm like, oh, F, man. I forgot my key. Right? So I knock on the door. There's no answer. I'm like, whatever. Maybe he went to the bathroom. Hey, listen, I'm going to jump through my bedroom window, grab my key, circle right back around. I'll be back outside in 30 seconds, right? This is no problem at all. So I walk the 10 feet to my bedroom window, climb into my bedroom window, grab my keys off the dresser, walk back out in the living room. Now, when I left 90 seconds ago, Oz was sitting on the couch fully clothed. Tennis shoes on, jeans. Now, 90 seconds has passed. When I walk back into the living room, the TV is showing snow. I can see that the VCR is blinking, okay? So clearly he has put something in the VCR and he doesn't want me to see it. Mm-hmm. But the tell is he's holding a book in his hands. He's wearing a terry cloth blue bathrobe and the bottom's open so I can see his testicles hanging on the bottom, right? A little pink chicken wing hanging down there. And I'm looking at him like, I've been gone for a minute and a half.
You already set this thing up.
You've gotten undressed, put on a bathrobe, put in your porn, started watching it, and got to waxing, right?
Yeah.
And but the thing is, he's playing it off like this isn't the situation. And I'm looking at him. He's reading the book and looks up like, oh, hey, what are you doing back? I'm like, I'm grabbing my key, man.
Yeah.
Like, dude, my bed was still warm from my body heat when I jumped back in the window. How did you get naked this fast just to masturbate?
Well, the one thing about having roommates is you know sexually what's going on with their life in general.
It's just the quickness. I know he handled his business. But the other thing, by the way, you're doing it on the living room sofa, man. You got a bedroom. Use your bedroom.
Exactly. And you know when people go to the bedroom.
Depends on where the VCR is.
What they're doing.
I understand. Use your imagination. What did Mr. Rogers say? Go to imagination land.
Dude, my roommate, at one point in time, we lived in the same bedroom. So we both had king-size water beds, okay? They were side by side.
How big was this bedroom?
It was a bigger bedroom, but it's amazing the whole floor didn't collapse.
King-size water beds.
2 king-size water beds.
Yeah, you guys are balling.
But they were right buckled up to each other because there was not enough room in the room. I mean,
like
they were
next to each other?
Yeah,
or
like I had to get on one side and nobody could get into the middle because they were pushed together, right? You know what I'm saying? And this dude was like 6'5".
I don't know, Miles. There's something strange about that.
He weighed 295 pounds. It's called being poor. You know what I mean? We crammed as many.
You got a king-size water bed.
Yeah, no, but that's all we had. So like that's my bed, man. So he had his bed. You know, like that was the way it rolled back then. So one night I come home and the door's closed, and I can hear noises going on in there, and I'm like, this is not good because I can't get into the bedroom.
Well, you said, dude, weighed about 300 pounds.
Oh yeah, he was
in a water bed.
He was offensive tackle. Right, so
what did that sound like?
Oh my God! You don't. I mean, what did it sound like when he snored? What did it smell like when he came
rolled
home?
over on the waterbed? It sounded like when you're filling up a cup out of one of those 5-gallon tanks.
Granted, he had a nicer waterbed than I did, but anyway, so he's just going to town. So I'm outside. I'm watching television in the living room. And I'm like, surely this won't last for long. Our living room was so small in this apartment, we could only have a love seat, so I couldn't exactly.
You can fit 2 king-size waterbeds in the bedroom.
But there's no live. It was almost like an entryway. It was it wasn't even designed to be an apartment. So Ruthie's in there just going to town on this. You know what I mean? And I can hear him just like, okay, first of all, who is this? You know, because I was out with him earlier. He was by himself, blah, 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 blah. So all of a sudden the door opens. You have to remember, this guy is covered in hair. Oh. He is a hairy dude, and he is freaking huge. Ruthie walks out of the bedroom. He is fully erect. All right? He's completely naked, and he walks out in the living room past me. He goes, oh, hey, man, what's up, man? I'll be done in a minute. And I was like, all right, Ruthie, no problem. He goes into the bathroom, He gets like some kind of Vaseline or some kind of lube, all right? And he comes back into the living room. Now he's talking to me, all right? And he's like, so now he gets the lube, and now he's lubing himself up. He's like, hey, man, so where did you go afterward, man? Did you go to DJ's? Or did you go to the dungeon? Hold on, man, I'll be right there. And then all of a sudden, this head pops out and goes, hi, dolls! And I see this head pop out from the side and this big smile. I'm like, oh, hey, Debbie. How are you? You know, I'm great. How are you? Did you go to DJ's? No, I didn't go to DJ's. You know, like everybody's
what is their obsession with DJ's?
Everybody just like, did you go? Because we didn't go. Like, you know, like it's one of those things.
And he's just lubing himself up.
He's just in the meantime. And I mean, he's got a huge hog on him. Right. You know what I mean? He's a big dude. And he's just lubing him. I'm like, Ruthie, just go back in the bedroom. You know what I mean? So then, this never stops. This goes on for another hour and a half. It's like 2:30 in the morning. So then I go pass out in my other roommate's bed. And it's like, hell, I'll just go sleep in Chad's room. So I go sleep in Chad's room, and then I wake up beside Chad and his girlfriend. Chad is naked. His girlfriend is not. I'm just like, But that's just part of living with roommates. You know
that's
what I mean?
too much penis in like a 12-hour period.
It was a lot of penis. And I'm pretty sure when Deb put her hand out the window, she's kind of like, come on. And I'm like, no.
I mean,
I'm not going in there with Ruthie.
When I lived in that row house, right, there was 6 of us.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of penis just because we only had one bathroom that works. There was rotation.
Right.
One guy'd be shaving, one guy'd shower, one guy using the toilet.
Right.
And then, frankly, just some of those dudes refused to shut the door, period. But I don't know that I ever saw anybody fully excited.
Oh, yeah.
No, right.
Oh, and he's talking. Oh, man, yeah, we might go get some hot dogs after this. Like, he was seriously we were just having a conversation. Eventually, I was like, please.
I did once. I had one roommate one time that fully erect, completely naked. The difference was he's married to this woman now. They have like 5 kids. He would never share the story with his kids, but we lived in a row home. And I hear this shuffling outside. I'm on the 3rd floor, by the way, and I hear a person outside of my window on the 3rd floor. It's like Salem's Lot, you know. I'm trying to be subtle. I'm like, what the hell? And I turned around. It's my roommate, Matt. And he is butt-ass naked. Basically, his penis is directly eye level. And he's hanging off the fire escape. And he's like, hey, man, do me a solid. Do you have a condom? I'm like, are you for real? He's like, I got this chick up on the roof. He's having sex with his now wife on the roof of our home. But he realized he didn't have a condom. She's a very good Catholic girl. Trust me on that. Hence, 5 kids, you got to get a condom. So now he's hanging off the fire escape. And I remember handing it to him. And when I handed it to him, he puts one hand out. But it just reminded me like a real pale monkey because he's hanging with one arm. And he's kind of swinging, right? But he grabs the condom, puts it in its mouth because it's still in the wrapper, right? And puts his hand back up and then just pulls himself up. And the last thing I saw was his penis.
Right.
I'm like, something's got to change, man.
Oh,
I didn't feel that I needed curtains on my window because, again, I'm on the 3rd floor. But I realized I do need curtains because I turn around, there's a naked man outside.
I will say, I had a roommate's mom call me out.
What?
His disposable cameras?
Yeah.
So at some point during the graduation night, I was like, this would be hilarious. Take a picture of my penis.
Oh, no.
It was not hard to track down that it was me. It was the amount of hair. And he was like, my mom saw it. And I go, what do you mean your mom saw it? This was his line, like, breakfast sausage surrounded by sprouts, it was you. And I was like, yep, that's me.
Another roommate I had. He was the guy that never paid his bill, got us all kicked out of the place. So we were a little bit pissed off at him anyway. But we all pitched in because we were going to get a bag of weed that night. It was the summer. We weren't playing football anymore, so we weren't getting tested during the summer. And weed was like, the greatest thing ever because for 9 months of the year, you were really rolling the dice.
Sure.
And you didn't want to do that because it stays in your system for 30 days. So in the summertime, we could smoke weed. So my buddy Newey goes, and we all pitch in like $10 a piece. It was a $30, $40 bag of weed, whatever the deal was. But we all got in on it. We get home. Newey is in the bedroom with this girl. Now we know that Newey's got the weed, and Newey's got the weed in his pocket because we were there when the deal went down. And so when Newey came home, he knew he was supposed to leave the weed on top of the coffee table, and he didn't do it by the bong, right? So, but he's in there with this girl. So we're waiting and waiting and waiting. He's in the basement bedroom. And it's dark down there. There's no windows or anything like that. Probably a lot like the place you lived in Hopkins. So it's just, there's no outside windows. It is dark. Newey's got the lights on. So my buddy Chris Craig goes, hey, look, man, let's go down there. And I said, man, I can't do it because I'll just keep cracking up because the thought of Newey having sex just cracks me up. You know what I mean? Because he's just like, it's just, I can't imagine this in my head. So he goes, well, look, man. He's like, you just stuff some socks in your mouth, right? And then you army crawl in there, and we'll crack the door, man. And then you go find his pants on the floor, man, and grab that weed, man, and army crawl out. I'm like, all right, deal. So
So Gray goes down first. He cracks the door open. He waves to me to come. I drop down, man, and I'm army crawling with this ball of socks in my mouth. And all I'm hearing is this. So right now I'm losing it. You know what I mean? Because I'm not sure if that's Nui or his girl. So I go, By the way, I repeated that for about a week after that. Find his pants. Get the weed out of there, right? Army crawl out. We're upstairs smoking weed. Nui comes up about a half an hour later, and he goes, "Hi, where'd you guys get that weed at?" I said, "Nui, Army crawled in your bedroom when you were having sex with that girl and took it out of your pants." He goes, "No, you didn't." I said, "Yes, I did, Nui. Go down there and look." And he goes down, "You sons of bitches. You came in the room while I was having sex." I went, "No, Nui. This is our weed. What happened to yours?" I mean, it was just one of those sounds where it's just like, that's it. Who's that? I still can't figure out to this day.
Coach Dan, help him out.
Right, exactly. Like, no, oh man, or oh God. Just, I mean, you share everything when you have a roommate. You know what I mean? Like every single thing.
Yeah, not a roommate, but I had we decided as adults this was a good system. Like we lived on the same floor in a condo building, but not roommates.
Okay.
But one day, and it was something stupid. I had a girl over and I was like, "Hey, don't
just give me some time."
Right. And I remember my two buddies knock on the door, and they're wasted. And just, like me and Thrilled, you throw that door open.
Oh, yeah.
And I go, "What?" And they're like, "Sorry, we already forgot." Like, I know it was something stupid. Just half an hour.
What is the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Sean. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bicholas.
Hola.
Yeah, hey, man, my name's Sean. They call me the Sean Man at work. And I just want to say I love you guys. I mean, listen to you every day. You make my day every better at work.
Oh, thank you, Sean, man.
What do? You mortician?
Yeah. No. But I work in the lumber industry, one of the biggest lumber companies.
All right. Very good, man. Very cool.
That's about all I can say about that. So I just want to say I love you guys, and hopefully I don't cuss this time and get cut off.
All depends on the story.
All right, here's the story, and I've already talked to Mike about it and stuff. And, hey, I just want to say, hey, I really miss Robin, man.
So do we.
No kidding.
Yeah.
We know.
This has been a really crappy year, brother. I mean, I don't know how else to say it to you. We lost our syndication. We lost our producer. Now we lose Eddie Van Halen. This has not been a great year.
I mean, at work, we got a saying when something's really going wrong at work and it's really bad, we just call it, well, there's 2020.
Yeah, that's truth. All right, so what's the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with?
Well, again, God bless Eddie Van Halen and his family and stuff, man. Rock God. I was born in 72. I was a teenager, grew up in the 80s and stuff with all the...
Is this Eastwood?
No.
Okay, all right. What is the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with?
Yeah, all right. I was 16 and I had a girlfriend who was 20 years old living with me at my mom and dad's house and my older brother. And we just got through having sex and stuff. And, of course, back then I want to protect myself, right? And I did the proper thing, tied the thing up and put it in the trash. The next thing you know, she takes it in the trash and starts chasing me around the house with it, slapping me with it and stuff like that.
Who?
Mom and dad are at work, and all of a sudden my brother walks in, my older brother, 10 years older than I am, goes, "What are you guys doing?" And my girlfriend looks at him and throws it at him and it hits him in the face. And all of a sudden he just blows it, just throws up everywhere once he looks at it.
I can't blame him.
No.
I think if I got hit in the face with someone else's used condom, I might have a pretty violent reaction myself.
Yeah.
Just,
Okay. What's the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with? 206-421-ROCK.
I've got a couple comments here. It says, I accidentally shot a gun off of my apartment. The bullet went through to the other apartment. Oops. Someone else says, back in the 80s.
Oops.
Yeah, oops. Actually, it's whoops, to be fair. Someone else says, back in the 80s, we had a crackhead living in the basement. Now, he would come home after 2 or 3 days and then pass out for another 2 days. Well, one day, to mess with him, we let a bunch of crickets go down into the basement. Every time you turn off the lights to go to sleep, the crickets start chirping. Now, we heard the lights go off, and they go back on. Then they go off, and they go on. And after 3 or 4 times of this, we're upstairs. We're just laughing. He decides to turn the lights back on. Well, after a few minutes... Oh, crap. Hold on, I just lost the stream. After 3 minutes, just rolling on the floor, all of a sudden, He starts blasting off a shotgun, screaming about aliens. We left shortly after that.
Good idea.
See, that's the problem with playing a prank on a crackhead. Mm-hmm. Just saying.
There's still a crackhead.
There's still no matter how funny you think it is, they're going to respond to the same situation as though they're on crack.
A Florida man is behind bars after stabbing his roommate in the chest before turning the knife on himself, claiming he committed the crime to release Satan. Deputies responded to the Visa Haven Apartments along Geranium Lane in reference to a stabbing, and when they arrived, deputies found a subject cutting himself with a knife and the victim suffering from a stab wound. The male harming himself. He was restrained and identified as a 25-year-old named Joseph Dallash and attempted to resist deputies and was held to the ground when he began making comments such as, "Satan will come out of my wound. You will see.
Oh, boy.
Satan is still inside of me. Satan was a worm and is going to come out of me. If I can't talk, Satan will kill me." Deputies said the victim lying on the ground appeared to have a stab wound to the chest, and it was later determined that he was the roommate of Dolish. When deputies asked him about his injured roommate, Dolish said, "Can't say he's Satan, but I don't know." According to a report, deputies then made their way to Dolash's apartment where blood was found on the walls and the floors. Deputies said they located a fixed blade knife with a wooden handle covered in blood. Victim was transported to a local hospital for his injuries, where he later told deputies that Dolish held a kitchen knife to his throat, then cut him multiple times. Dolish told the victim that the devil was in him and he needed to get the worm out before he proceeded to stab him, according to investigators. He then told the victim to suck the worm and devil out of his blood from the cut on his wrist. When witnesses saw Dolash and the victim outside of the apartment, the victim still had the knife in his chest. Jail records show that Dolash was arrested on one charge of first-degree premeditated attempted murder and one count of sexual assault and battery. He is still being held in the Seminole County Jail without bond.
I wonder if he's going to be fit for trial. He seems committed to his belief that Satan is inside of him, right? Mm-hmm. Just like, as an attempted murder, if you believe you're getting rid of Satan.
I mean, I don't know if you have to go to jail. You're still going to get time, maybe in a mental place.
For sure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think my man needs an evaluation.
Do you have one roommate in your past that you can think of and go, maybe not the best idea to have lived with that person?
As far as maybe homicidal
just their
tendencies,
characters, everything about them.
I don't think so. I think I'm pretty good on that tip. They probably think I was the
two.
one.
I only one, but he had already done his time.
How much time had he done?
6 years.
Oh, okay. All right. And that passed the roommate test at that time?
Yeah.
He had money. That's why you need a roommate. Can you pay rent?
Saying what did he do?
He robbed banks.
Oh, he robbed banks.
That's not so bad.
Yeah.
Did he have money?
Not anymore.
What is the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with? 206-421-ROCK.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.